Right now, videos are going viral across the country showing Americans chanting something that would have been unthinkable just months ago. A sitting congresswoman, a governor scrambling to explain billions in missing money, federal investigators closing in from 6 different directions, and one of the most powerful men on the planet just told 230 million people what the mainstream media refuses to say. The fraud scandal in Minnesota isn't just growing, it's detonating, and the names at the center of it are about to face something they never expected. It's called accountability. And here's what's really at stake, though. This isn't just about one state or one politician. This is about a system that allowed billions of taxpayer dollars to be looted through Medicaid and benefit programs while officials look the other way, or worse, actively shut down oversight. Vice President Vance said it plainly. Money meant for America's poor was stolen by fraudsters, and Tim Walz let it happen. 6 federal investigations now underway in Minnesota. Walz appointed a fraud czar only after closing the office that was investigating the fraud. That's not incompetence, that's called containment. And it's not just Minnesota. Reports show the same staggering patterns emerging in Colorado, where housing benefits went to hundreds of dead people. In California, insiders there, they say the fraud makes Minnesota look like small change. So if the system isn't exposed and dismantled, it will keep draining the country dry. Now, as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing that we've all learned, it's that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. And for over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Now, look, nobody knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing is for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So when you're sitting around the table on Christmas or New Year's and you're surrounded by family, remember the best gift you can give isn't under the tree, it's peace of mind. And that is what Noble Gold delivers, peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. Now, remember, before the year ends, take one smart step towards a safer future and visit nextnewsgold.com. Get your free wealth protection kit. That's nextnewsgold.com. Don't leave your future to chance. And if you want one of these beautiful 10 1-ounce silver coins, holiday coins with qualified accounts, you'll get them if you call 877-646-5347. Now, here's where it gets worse. President Trump himself called out the scandal, saying Somali stole $9 billion, and that is only the beginning. He went further, saying Ilhan Omar should be sent out of the country and should never be allowed to serve in Congress. He repeated the longstanding accusation that she married her own brother. Now polling shows 57% of Minnesota voters disapprove of Walz, and 56% say they'll vote Republican. The pressure is not easing, it's only accelerating. And the same fraud pipeline may stretch all the way to California, where Gavin Newsom is accused of running a federal money laundering scheme through inflated ambulance costs. Now, here we have this from, this is Representative Randy Fine, says he is actively working to get Ilhan Omar deported. You won't believe this. Democrat Representative Ilhan Omar is actually defending the legislation she introduced that allowed billions of dollars in fraud to take place in Minnesota. She went on Fox, I guess, or maybe they're playing a clip of her. Let's listen.
On Fox Digital this because I'm sure we will find even more connections. This is what Ilhan Omar said, defending the program that she introduced in the House that led to all of these billions being stolen.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's a quote. She's telling Fox Digital. So this is the 2020 Meals Act. Ilhan Omar drops legislation intended to feed poor children during COVID because they might not have access, and it opened up a 100% USDA waiver that was exploited grotesquely. Fox News asked her, do you regret pushing for that bill, the Meals Act? Do you think it led to the fraud? Ilhan Omar, absolutely not. It did help feed kids. Okay,
yeah, well, think about this. If it did help feed kids at the cost of, what, $9 billion? You know, spread that across all of the ghost people and the actual benefits recipients. Think about how expensive that program was. I would almost allege that she purposely introduced that bill because she already had all of her people from Somalia lined up, ready to execute on it. Guess what, guys? I'll write the bill. You guys set up the infrastructure, and then you guys can cash in. I mean, that's what my gut says. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. That's just what I'm feeling. What do you guys think? Yeah. And then we have this. The fraud is worse in Gavin Newsom's California than Tim Walz's Minnesota. The U.S. attorney is promising more investigations after billions just went unaccounted for in one county alone. How what? Billions in one county? 2.3 billion. Unaccounted for. Listen to this. This is from News Nation.
But U.S. Attorney Bill, $2.3 billion sent to L.A. County over 4 years is completely unaccounted for.
Oh, my God.
That's $2.3 billion that could have been used to clean up this, or find housing for people who live like this, or to fix this part of Venice Beach, where people own million-dollar homes but are too afraid to walk their dogs because of this. There have already been 2 indictments linked to his probe, but U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley says there are a lot more to come. I spoke with him earlier. Bill, how long has this kind of fraud been going on? I mean, the homeless issue in Southern California is a massive issue. Taxpayers have forked over tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to fix it, and people are stealing it?
It's unbelievable. And, it's probably been going on for a very long time, but unfortunately, no one's really looked at it until recently. Before this position, I was in the state legislature, and we would ask a lot of questions about the billions of dollars being spent every year to solve homelessness. And we can all see with our eyes and ears that it wasn't being solved, and the money wasn't going to the people who needed it most. So one of the first things I did after being appointed as the U.S. Attorney here in L.A. was to create the Homeless Fraud and Corruption Task Force. And frankly, we were starting from the bottom up, and we began brand new investigations with the IRS and the FBI, and it's already culminated in 2 separate indictments, and I can assure you that more will come.
In the 2 indictments.
Think about this. Think about this, guys. All that money, all those billions, completely vanished. And it's been happening for years and years and years and years. And no one ever looked. And now we're finally taking a look. This is California. We've been covering what's been going on in Minnesota. This is, my friends, only the tip of the iceberg. And then we have apparently this. Jesse Kelly writes that we can argue all day about this heritage American stuff, but the reality is you have to deport this girl and every member of her family if you want your country back. It's time to start sending a message to the guests. A Somali girl in Minnesota, we should not be illegal. This is stolen land. What?
Because we should support everyone, and because people deserve to be here, because we shouldn't be illegal when this is literally stolen land.
Yeah, clearly the product of the public school system or some radically liberal parents. Here we have deport Ilhan, real Americans speaking out, demanding we deport Ilhan Omar to clean up the mess. Check this out.
Should Ilhan Omar be deported?
Yes, 100%. I say yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Should Ilhan Omar be deported?
1,000%.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely 100%.
Yeah, and her brother, because we don't separate families or marriages.
Should Ilhan Omar be deported?
What do you think? Should Ilhan Omar be deported? Comment below. Let's keep going. We got some more news to crack here. Deport Ilhan Omar. Mila Joy writes, do not let this fade. Keep the pressure on. This is the marriage license, as we've seen this floating around for years. Of course, the White House even posting it. Salty goat. This is all you need to know. Harvard research reveals generations of inbreeding enables Somalis to outsmart Governor Walz. Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. Oh, that's definitely a Babylon Bee headline. And then we have this. Polls in Minnesota, 57% disapprove of Walz for re-election. How many approve of him for prison? That's what we really want to know.
Approval rating is An exclusive Alpha News RMG research poll finds 57% disapprove of walls as fraud concerns mount. When asked about next year's gubernatorial election, 40% of those polled said they would vote for Governor Walz, and 46% said they would vote for a Republican opponent. The poll found that Walz's approval rating is underwater by 15 points. An exclusive
15
Alpha
points.
News.
That's a big hill to climb there, Timmy. Good luck with that. Rather see you in prison, though. Let's check in with the vice president at the Turning Point USA event over the weekend.
This great movement, and this is the moral truth we strive to center in our work in the Trump administration and in this great movement of ours. A true Christian politics, it cannot just be about the protection of the unborn or the promotion of the family, as important as those things absolutely are. It must be at the heart of our full understanding of government. Why do we penalize corporations that ship American jobs overseas? Because we believe in the inherent dignity of human work and every person who works a good job in this country. Why have we worked, without the help of Congress, to restrict H-1B visas, for example? Because we believe it is wrong for companies to bypass American labor just to go for cheaper options in the third world. We help older Americans in retirement, including by ending taxes on Social Security, because we believe in honoring your father and mother rather than shipping all of their money off to Ukraine. We believe in taking care of the poor, which is why we have Medicaid, so that the least among us can afford their prescriptions or to take their kids to see a doctor. And it's why we are outraged at the injustice of Tim Walz allowing Somalian immigrants to defraud that program to the tune of billions of dollars. It ought to go to Americans, because that's who it's there for.
Amen. 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 Let's
and
go.
This is the moral truth.
Let's go. J.D. Vance on fire, hitting all the notes. 23 hours ago, Somalis have looted Minnesota. Walz appointing a fraud czar after closing a state office that was investigating it. Walz doesn't want the feds looking to snap voter rolls or CDLs for illegals. Tim Walz will not survive this, he writes. Let's check in with the Fox hit on that.
Office that investigated. You know, it's interesting. He's made quite a few maneuvers that are questionable, I would say, over these last years. Now appointing, I should say, a fraud czar, but he closed at the statewide level an office that investigated fraud for many years. There are questions about that. This has only renewed the call for Governor Tim Walz to resign. He is currently running for a third term as governor, but this has really ramped up under his watch the last 7 years, all of this fraud exploding onto the national scene. I think it's 5 or 6 federal investigations that have now been announced in Minnesota from SNAP or welfare fraud. The state doesn't want to give that over. Our voter rolls, Minnesota doesn't want to hand that over to the feds. Illegal immigrants having commercial driver's licenses here. In fact, President Trump saying that Walz has turned Minnesota into a fraudulent hub of money laundering activity. Those are the president's. Wow.
Let's check in. Let's find when the president, he did make some remarks over the weekend. Let's find those remarks. I know he said it. Here it is. Check this out.
How about the new thing in Minnesota with the Somalians? They sold, now it came out, the great U.S. attorney up there, they came out, think of this, $9 billion, and they think that's just the beginning. They stole, think of it, in their country, they live on nothing. They have nothing. They come here and they steal $9 billion. Are we stupid? I mean, how do we allow that to happen? Ilhan Omar should be sent out of our country. She should not be allowed to be a congresswoman. She married her brother either to stay or to get him into the country. And yesterday she, I guess, made up a story. She said the police attacked her son they stopped the car and the police said, we never attacked him, we never stopped him, it was a made-up story. She's a con person, she's full of con. She says, zero. She said, you ought to get her the hell out of our country. That's what you ought to do. She made up a story that the police stopped her son's car and they harassed the hell out of him. It turned out to be a fake story. There was no stoppage of his car and there was no harassment. But think of that. In Minnesota, this beautiful place, once beautiful, I don't call it beautiful, you got a governor who's a stupid person. And a corrupt. He's corrupt and stupid. But he allowed this to go on. He allowed this to go on. Everybody knew what was going on. But what nobody knew is over $9 billion. And the people of Minnesota are not happy. How about the new thing in Minnesota with the Somalians? They sold, now it came out.
How about that new thing, huh? Oh, President Trump, man. You got to love it. Just bringing the rally flavor back. Tim Walz had Melissa Hortman, someone says, for voting against his corruption. Oh, boy. This is Assistant AG Harmeet Dillon, officially suing Tim Walz, Minneapolis, Minnesota Public Schools for anti-white discrimination. Man, it just keeps piling up in Minnesota. 48 hours ago, a manic Tim Walz declares he will fix the fraud that he has presided over.
You have my look, who's ever in charge, and I said, unlike the president, I'm the governor now. Whether these programs happened before we got here or afterwards, it doesn't matter. We're here now. We're the ones fixing it. You have my guarantee on this is that I certainly will have this thing fixed, and you see that we're on the front end of it. That's how this works. And so would I have wanted to stop this? Would I have gone out? You know, if you think the governor goes out and checks somebody on Medicaid and that they were there, no, but that's somebody in government needed to do that. And if they didn't do that, or if there were loopholes in this, and what we found is these are poorly written and it left openings, and the goal was to get the money out.
Poorly written by who? Poorly written by who, Tim? Oh, that's right. Ilhan Omar wrote the bill. Oh, isn't that nice?
We'll fix that. But yeah, I'll take accountability for it. But what you're seeing here is you're seeing a weaponization. We'll continue to fix it. They're going to continue to come up with numbers that don't have it there, and it's sensationalized. I don't expect anything different from this administration. Look, who's ever...
You should expect something different, because this administration is going to hold your ass accountable, dude. So just buckle up. Let's see. This was 24 hours ago. Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, Keith Ellison are now being directly linked to the Somali fraud network. Not loosely connected, not indirectly involved, tied straight to the operation.
Victory party at the Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison. We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud. Held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz. House oversight investigation role in his role as governor, or Keith Ellison, the attorney general. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest known yet part of this entire fraud, theft ring. Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison.
Fraud. Theft ring. Speaking of theft ring, let's find out what's happening in Colorado, where it just continues. This was 4 days ago. HUD found housing benefits paid to 221 dead people in Colorado, thousands more flagged as ineligible. The fraud hit agencies statewide and could force repayments of federal funds. HUD finds dead people cashing housing benefits in Colorado. California representative confirming, let's go to California. Well, we all knew the fraud in California is way worse than Minnesota. We could be looking at tens of billions of dollars in fraud. Holy cow. Gut it out.
If you thought that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz had a real bad problem with welfare fraud in his state, Gavin Newsom saying, hold my beer, buddy. Newsom's welfare fraud is exponentially worse than Tim Walz's, but the liberal media nationally, they're not paying attention. They're not holding him accountable. There's almost no discussion of it. Newsom allowed $30 billion in fraudulent welfare payments to be issued by the unemployment agency, and now small businesses in California have to pay off all of that debt through higher payroll taxes. No coverage of that scandal. And it is much worse than what happened with Tim Walz in Minnesota. Walz is accused of allowing $250 million of food stamp fraud to occur to Somali organizations. And Newsom is sitting here with multi-billion dollars worth of food stamp fraud. His food stamp fraud rate is 13.4%. That's 3 out of every 20 benefits managed by Newsom's administration for food stamps, completely fraudulent. And when it comes to funding left-wing organizations like the Somali community in Minnesota, California is funding all sorts of left-wing NGOs. And a lot of those NGOs are using taxpayer money for politics.
Oh, yeah. That's super, super illegal. Gavin Newsom caught in a massive federal money laundering scam. Newsom increased ambulance costs 300% and requested reimbursements from the federal government, but it was fake. He'd then pay a different company a fraction of the cost and pocket the rest, stealing billions. Holy cow. This is from Wall Street Apes just 12 hours ago. They write, one of the largest and most convoluted schemes in modern history has been discovered during a review of California's medical finance records. Investigators found under Gavin Newsom's leadership, the Golden State has essentially been funneling taxpayer money from all across America to prop up California's own finances. This is a guy who thinks he's going to be running for president. All this stuff is going to come bubbling to the surface. Let's check out the video clip attached here.
Schemes in modern. A massive investigation has uncovered that California may have committed major fraud against the U.S. government by exploiting this complicated loophole that's allowed them to steal billions in federal taxpayer funds. One of the largest and most convoluted schemes in modern history has been discovered during a review of California's medical financial records. Investigators found that under Gavin Newsom's leadership, the Golden State has essentially been funneling taxpayer money from all across America to prop up California's own finances. The ingenious plan started in 2022, and it revolves around the complex concept of intergovernmental transfers, which in simple terms is when a local hospital or county makes a transfer to the state Medicaid agency for payments of medical services such as ambulance rides. After the transfers are made, the state can then request a matching amount of money from the federal government, but Newsom's California abused this system by raising the price of a simple ambulance ride by nearly 300%, and then once the local hospitals made the transfer to the states and the state received the matching funds from the federal government, they then instead paid a private ambulance service which cost only a fraction of the original price, pocketing the difference. But the thing is, this is all legal and the government must find a way to close this loophole. A massive investigation has uncovered that California may have committed...
Guys, we don't even know the scale of the fraud, but we're going to find out real soon. So here's the bottom line. The same names keep surfacing, the same state, the same fraud pipelines. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't a glitch in the system. Minnesota didn't just fail at oversight. It enabled a machine that looted taxpayers at industrial scale. And now that machine is exposed. Federal investigators are moving, whistleblower tip lines are lighting up, and the American people are no longer waiting for the media to care. They're demanding answers themselves. So the story matters because it proves what millions of Americans have suspected for years. The system is not broken, it's rigged. Billions stolen, officials who closed down investigations instead of pursuing them, a congresswoman facing accusations that would end anyone else's career, and a governor whose only defense is to attack the people exposing the truth. This is what happens when accountability finally arrives. The establishment didn't see it coming because they never thought the people would push back this hard. But the chants are getting louder, the investigations are multiplying, and the same patterns are showing up in Minnesota. They're surfacing in California, Colorado. So the question isn't whether more fraud will be found, it's just how deep it actually goes. So here's my question for you. Should Ilhan Omar be deported if the fraud allegations are proven true? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you want to stand with us, check out the Next News merch shop. You'll find it linked in the description.